Okay, honey, so I'm making you this video because I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through everything real quick that you should be looking for, so that if you need a reference, you can come right back here, and I'm here to instruct you on how to go through stuff, especially with fixing the announcement PowerPoint that comes in from Tiffany, because we still have a couple of hang-ups where she's just not adding the transitions, and I always put it on a loop and she doesn't put it on a loop, and that's not something that I would expect her to do. So anyway, I'm going to turn this around and hopefully it looks okay on the screen. I'm going to walk you through third Sunday programming, basically. So let's work with it. Oh, I guess I can't turn it around. I can only turn it around for pictures. That's interesting. Okay, so I'll just kind of like show you the screen this way. Hopefully you can sort of, you can't even see it. Crazy. All right, so I'm going to talk you through it then. All right, so when you first come in the morning, you'll go into the email. So you go to Yahoo. So the it works better in Chrome, just so you know. So you go to yahoo.com, and the email is mgbcsoundroom@yahoo.com. If you get locked, if it logs you out for whatever reason, the password is TAJA04 in order for you to get back in. It shouldn't lock you out. So anyway, okay, so what you'll do is you go into the inbox, and in the inbox there shouldn't be anything. I've already deleted everything from like last week and all that other stuff, so you shouldn't see any of that stuff. So what you should see is, you should see a bulletin, the announcements, Pastor Murphy's sermon notes. Sometimes he tags it in with the bulletin, and then anything special that they have going on. But like I said, I asked Pastor Murphy to keep it to a minimum, so you shouldn't have a whole bunch of problems. So what you do is you go into the email, and if it's multiples, then you'll hit download all, so they all can come down into the folder together. If not, you can just hit the save that's underneath the item, and that'll drop it down to the bottom of the screen, bottom of the internet page, to show that it's been downloaded. What I do is I will I click on the actual item at the bottom of the screen, has a little arrow on it. I click on that and click on show in folder. So what that does is it takes you to the download folder where everything is. So once you've done all of them, do all of them, and then once you've gotten everything that you need, do only click on one and do show in folder. And what that is, everything that you just finished downloading will be right there at the top for you. So you can minimize your internet screen, and your downloads folder will just be open, and then you can literally just kind of drag and drop the item from the download folder onto the desktop. So you should be moving the bulletin, the announcements, and Pastor Murphy's sermon notes from the download folder onto the desktop. So once we have everything onto the desktop, you can open up the folder for each Sunday. So I have a folder for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 1st Sunday, just in case I'm too tired to make it in here, since I come in on the 4th at nighttime. I might need a day. But anyways, so we have that. So inside of each folder, you have the memory verse and the new word. So when you open up the memory verse and the new word, I was showing you, you'll open that PowerPoint up, and you'll open up the bulletin. From the bulletin, you will copy the new word into that very first slide. It's going to be black, so you'll need to keep it highlighted so you can change the font to white. What I normally do is I will put a space between the definition and the sentence that he uses, just so they can have some separation between the two. It's not separated that way when you copy it out of the bulletin, but I do that. And then with the Bible verse, the memory verse, it's the same way. In the bulletin at the bottom on the left hand side, you'll see it, and it'll just have more blanks in it than it did before. This time, if you want to, because it's so short, you can actually go in and just put the blanks in yourself, but I normally just copy and paste it because it just saves me an extra step. I don't have to worry about it. So you just copy and paste it in, and then the numbers are going to be too large. They're not going to be a superscript. So you'll just highlight the 8. In this case, you'll highlight the 8 and the 9, but you have to do them separately. So I highlight the 8, go to font, and click on superscript, which is under effects, which is the bottom half of the screen on the left hand side. And you don't have to change the offset. The offset is already at 30%, so you don't have to change it. So you leave it at 30%. So do the to do the superscript, hit OK. It's going to change it. The number is still going to be highlighted. So then at the top left-hand corner of the PowerPoint screen, there's a little paintbrush. There's like File, and then underneath that, you'll see a little clipboard that says Paste, and then right next to that, there's a list. There's some scissors and some double paper, and then underneath that, there's a little teeny paintbrush. You'll click on the paintbrush. That's the format painter. It's going to grab the formatting from that 8 that you just put into superscript, and then all you have to do is highlight the 9, and it will make the 9 the same way. So that way you don't have to go back through the process of highlighting it, going into font and all that stuff. You can just use the format painter to bring over the formatting. Once you've put in the new word and changed the Bible verse, you just save that presentation and you can close it. The other item, or one of the other PowerPoints that are in that folder, is the doxology, the call to worship, the their mission and vision statement, and then their statement of purpose. So that's all in one PowerPoint, and it's in there for each one, and it's not going to change for the rest of the month of December. In the first Sunday for February, the only thing that will change within that PowerPoint is the call to worship. And you can copy that straight out of the bulletin. So when you get the bulletin on February, you won't get it till probably late Wednesday, maybe even Saturday. But when you get it, you can just copy it and then paste it right in to the slide. If it's too long for the one slide, which it's usually not, it's usually pretty short, but if it's too long for the one slide and you need a second one, you can right click the slide that has the call to worship on it, and then click duplicate slide. And what that's going to do is going to create the same exact slide, so that you just have a second slide with the same exact formatting, so you don't have to go back and try to reinvent it and try to change anything. It'll have the same exact formatting, and then all you have to do is copy the remaining portion of the call to worship onto that second slide. So what you've done, that's in there for you. All Things is there. The very first slide in All Things, when you put it up on the screen, all the words come up at one time. The second one is when we want to get a little more fancy. It has transitions in it where the words come up one at a time. So for you, just use slide 1. That's All Things, no problem. The other thing that's there is the praise and worship that Pastor Murphy always uses. Like we were talking about earlier, just hit Control F. The control find is going to allow you to type in a few words of what he's saying, so that it'll take you down to whatever slide or song that he's at, because it's literally like 102 slides long. There's no way for you to scroll through it and find it. The majority of the songs that he sings all the time are at the beginning, like Let God Arise, and what is this? I'm Running for My Life, and In the Name of Jesus, and all those things. Can't Nobody Do Me Like Jesus. All the things he typically sings are within those first like 10 or 12 slides, so that they are right there at the top. But then of course he likes to sing stuff like Pass Me Not, and he'll sing Every Praise Is to Our God, and those are a little further down in the PowerPoint. So just use Control Find to find the ones that you're looking for. With the litanies, I have one litany in each folder, with the exception of Third Sunday. Third Sunday has 2 litanies in it. Like I was telling you, if they decide to do MLK, you have a MLK litany that's all ready to go. If not, you have the You Are God litany, and that's there. You click on that one and use that for the litany. Let me see. So the only other thing that you have to be mindful of, no, that's it. Oh, I'm going to walk you through fixing Tiffany's announcements. That's the only other thing. So when Tiffany sends you the PowerPoint, the only things that we watch for now, because they're never formatted funkily, because what she's doing now is she's saving she's creating the images, saving them as a JPEG, and then just pasting the JPEG into the presentation. It's nice because it keeps everything on the slide, but then at the same time it doesn't give us the ability to edit anything in case there is something that's wrong. So we just go with what we get. So the only thing that we do is, when you open up her announcements, go to slide on the very top ribbon with File, Home, Insert, go down to Slideshow, click on and then in that second ribbon where it says From Beginning, From Current Slide, go over to Setup Slideshow, and then under Show Options, click Loop Continuously Until Escape. Because basically what that means is that when you put them on the screen, they're going to run and run and run. So you can put them up 10 minutes before service starts, and they'll run and run and run until it stops. So The only so we fixed that, and then the only other thing that I fixed is I fixed our transitions. So each slide should have a little star next to it. It'll have a 1 next to it, or a 2, you know, the number of the slide, and then underneath the number it should have a little star that looks like it's moving. Got some little lines next to it, look like it's creating motion. Each one of those should have it. If slides are missing that, that means that there's no timed transition on it, which means it'll get to that slide and it'll get stuck, and it won't move and it won't rotate through the rest of the show. So we just check to make sure that that's the case. The first slide is always about 9 seconds long, and then the rest of them have typically been 18 seconds. So what I do is I click on the second slide that usually has the transition on it, or whichever slide has transition on it, and at the top right hand corner you'll see a little section right next to effect options where it says sound or advanced slide, and you'll see a little apply to all. Let me see if I can't show this to you on the screen. I hope you can see it. Right, apply to all is where you'll see it at the top right hand corner of the screen. You'll click that, it'll apply that particular transition to the entire show, and then you can just go back to the first slide, and in that same box change the number from 18 to 9, which is typically what it is, and then you'll just save it, and then you're good to go with your announcements. So that's pretty much it for how to get everything set up and how to go, and everything is all in these folders. So you have a folder for, like I said, 3rd Sunday, 4th Sunday, 5th Sunday, and 1st Sunday. Everything's all set up on the computer. There's also a praise and worship folder that has all of the other praise and worship songs in it. So like if Yvette and Minister Mean's wife and all of them actually decide they're going to do praise and worship, and Pastor Murphy's not going to do praise and worship, then you have the options to go in here and try to grab those songs for them. Some of them are medleys where they just say P and W and a particular date. Others have the actual name of the song on it. If you can't find it by the name, if it's not on a presentation by itself, you don't have to sit here and sift through, you know, what is going on, because she should actually be sending these when they're going to do them, or she should at least tell you what she's going to do beforehand. So you may see an email from Yvette that says we're going to sing these particular songs, and then you can go in and grab them, and all you have to do is drag them out of the folder and onto the desktop. And once you've done that, they're ready to go. You can just open them up and play them just like all the rest of them. So with the slideshows, you'll open them up no matter what they are, and we talked about that little slideshow button down on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. See if we can't get a shot of it. I can't see. I think we're not getting there. There it is. So that little button right there, right, so that very tiny little slideshow button, that's what you'll use. It'll generate it on your main screen so that you can see the presentation, and then you'll hit dissolve on this. So that's your dissolve button. You make sure that it says computer extend, and then you'll hit the dissolve button. It'll dissolve it out onto the other screen. Right now it's blue because I don't have anything up. So that's what it'll look like over here. It'll look like that, and then it'll dissolve. When you dissolve it, it'll be over here, and it'll be big, and it'll be nice. So, and then of course when you want to go back, you just go camera and dissolve, and that puts the camera back out. You're looking at the wall right now. So yeah, so it makes it's pretty easy, nothing overly complicated. Everything's pretty simple. So hopefully if you need anything, you can always call me. Because when you're awake, I should be awake, because even though we're 12 hours behind, we'll be keeping the same schedule over the weekend too. So hopefully that's helpful, and hopefully there won't be too many one-offs and too many things that they send you, as I've asked them not to send you a bunch of stuff, especially to keep things pretty simple while I'm out, so that way you don't encounter a whole bunch of problems. Love you, baby.